Hokey religions and ancient weapons. Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side.
Welcome to Hokey Religion, the Star Wars podcast. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
And we got to see Rogue One.
We did get to see it. We are so
Enough
privileged.
of that. Another movie we got to watch was Gremlins 2. And that's way more important of a film to speak about.
I purposely pushed all details of that out of my head after I saw that movie. It was so
I
bad.
figured we could start with something that's not instantly Rogue One spoilers, so someone that likes to listen to this and not having seen the film might get to listen for a few minutes.
Okay, so the movie starts out. We'll just do.
So Gremlins 2.
We'll just talk about this for a few minutes, right?
Yeah. Well, we could go forever.
My
on
fear is that we'll do the whole podcast on Gremlins
Gremlins
2.
2. That's a whole nother...
Right after we saw
We could
Rogue
start a whole
One.
nother series, just every episode talking about Gremlins 2.
Okay, so real quick though, the movie starts out with the movie actually starts out with a guy carrying in a tube TV and a VCR
Oh, yeah.
and plugging it in and putting a tape in.
Yeah, because he's taking it to the guy that sold the gremlin to the kid in the first
Yeah,
movie.
so
Yes.
it's these corporate dudes. They go into the Chinese, right? I can say
Asian market.
that. The Asian market. I think that's more offensive somehow.
I didn't
The
say
Asian market.
Sure, I don't know.
Anyway,
went in
they
there
go
and
into this shop.
They put in a VHS of important businessman with important words to say.
But the scene was it's like the equivalent now of someone like pulling up a laptop
Yeah,
and like
watch this video.
right. But it's
There's a message from a man.
Tube TV and a
No,
VCR.
on like a rack thing with wheels.
No,
with
he
the
just he
VCR.
carried it in. It wasn't
What
on
did
a
they set
rack.
it on top of?
Just like a shelf or something in the store.
Something in the store.
But he carried a tube TV and a VCR in, and like had this tape and just popped the tape in. It was a
And of course,
Anyway.
the gremlin changes the channel on a TV that wasn't hooked up to anything to watch Rambo. 'cause
suddenly it had like cable and stuff. on it.
wireless cable
Yeah,
television.
so the dude
Yeah.
gives his message, and then I don't know. The gremlin has the remote somehow.
He reaches out of his cage and presses a
grabs it?
button, and it goes right to Rambo.
Yeah, it changes the channel on the VHS tape, I guess.
I don't know.
It has satellite somehow. Anyway,
there's no
more
way of knowing.
importantly, they talk about how this guy, the shop owner, has been holding out on some kind of sale because
selling his shop.
they
yes.
want to level
Yeah.
the shop to like build condos or something like that,
Something
right?
stupid.
So he's holding out on a sale.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. That happens in a lot of movies. So the next scene, right? Or was this later in the movie? What I'm
I think
thinking
it
of.
hops to like where the kid is and what he's doing with his life, working at this horrible
Okay, anyway,
corporation.
yeah,
but it
boring,
goes
boring.
back and they're just tearing the building down.
Nothing about the guy getting out of there.
No,
I mean,
nothing.
He was still in the shop at the end of that scene, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So they just like a wrecking ball goes through the wall and they're destroying
So
the building.
he's
So I'm guessing they
murdered.
killed him.
Murdered by this corporation.
If he's dead, he has to sail.
Oh, by the way, the corporation was called the Clamp Corporation. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
It was Clamp,
John
right?
Clamps or
something,
Clamp?
Something. It was Clamp.
Yeah,
something like
John
that. Yeah.
Clamp, something. Yeah, stupid. the Clamp Corporation.
The Clamp Corporation. That's great.
Whose building has every type of room imaginable. It's like
Well, yeah, we'll
it's
get
like
to that in
Willy
a second.
Wonka's world in there.
Let's really think about this. This guy was killed. No repercussions.
Never
ever.
mentioned again.
No.
Rest of the film. Nope. He's
Died.
probably dead in his house. We assume because they never mentioned as to why they were tearing it down all of a sudden.
And it
when
only
the day before they could not.
It did look like they were only tearing down his building. Nothing else.
Yeah, I think they had already.
It was a whole like ghetto area
Yeah, they were just
And that was
his
the
one
only
little building in
building.
between.
that they needed to get rid of.
Screw this guy in particular.
Just killed. Dead. He's dead now.
Yes,
He's
completely
dead now. So let's move on and never discuss it ever again through the rest of the movie.
No, why would you?
Actually, what happens.
Yes,
So anyway, we go back to the
the
building.
Clamp Corporation.
As the movie progresses, we find it has a frozen yogurt stand at reception, apparently,
It
right?
seems that way. A salad bar.
Yes, has a salad bar, right? Because there
Nightclub?
are people eating. Yes, a nightclub. It has restaurants inside, right? It has condos, like apartments.
Condo places.
It has a U-Haul on the third story.
That's right.
On the third story, there is a U-Haul. Don't know Why? Or for what reason?
There's a lot of no explanation needed because we don't want to in that film. Best of all is the science room.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. So there's a science room, genetic scientists.
Yeah, genetic scientists who are doing all kinds of crazy laboratory tests. Who just have a reception area.
Yes.
With
There's
no
a reception
door to
area.
the back
Yes.
room. You can just walk right by reception and you're in the lab.
Yes.
Also, they have a gun locker with
Yes. There's an armory.
assault rifles in it in the lab. This isn't like, okay, there's a gun locker somewhere else in the building. No, the genetics lab has a gun locker with Uzis.
There's an armory. There's 2 elevators for this entire building. Only 2. We only saw 2.
It wasn't the future yet, Michael. It was only the elevator technology of 90. When was this? 87?
I don't remember.
Care.
I don't know. 2 elevators for the whole building.
Sure.
Back to the genetic scientist. They're working on important things like
Spider
juice. Spider juice. That turns people into giant spiders.
Plant juice.
Yes, vegetable juice.
Yes, that turns a gremlin into a vegetable gremlin.
Literally
which is
a vegetable
made of
gremlin.
lettuce and tomatoes and peppers. Yes.
Made of those things.
Yes.
Bat juice.
Bat juice, that's right. There's a big gremlin that turns into a bat, flies through a wall, and leaves a perfect bat symbol.
Yes.
Like, no, Batman symbol, not like a bat symbol.
Gets
but
caught
like
in
Batman
concrete
symbol.
and then flies out of the concrete and lands on a cathedral and freezes and becomes a gargoyle.
Yes, that happened.
Literally happens in the movie.
Oh, yes, Christopher Lee is the main scientist.
Yes.
You know, Saruman, a very important actor who's done very important things in cinema, was the lead scientist in Gremlins 2.
He walks in to a room full of gremlins, right?
Yes, the gremlins are like destroying the lab. There's
Yes.
like crazy ones. One's had bat juice. There's a scientist gremlin now who can talk and wears glasses.
Yeah, so we see, like a Frasier type gremlin. Literally like a Frasier type
Yeah,
gremlin.
it's basically Frasier.
Anyway, so Christopher Lee, he goes off for a little while. We don't see him for a little bit. The next time that we see him, after not seeing him for a long time, he comes into this room full of gremlins destroying things, carrying a giant pea pod?
Well, it's like a 1-seed pod, but it's the size of him that he's carrying.
The size of Christopher Lee, so probably a good 6 feet
from
tall.
Like knee to head,
Yes.
like height, like
giant. And he's got his arms,
seed pod thing.
like, out.
Yes.
It's huge.
It's gigantic.
Walks in carrying this giant thing, looks around with this bewildered look and goes, "What's going on here?"
What's going on here?
Walking in with this giant pod that no one ever explains.
No.
We never see it again.
This movie is 2% explanation and 98%
because
we scribbled this together.
we can.
Yes,
There's
I
no
don't.
why for anything that happens.
No, there's.
That's another thing.
It's attempting to be humorous and meta
These-
all the time, but nothing makes sense.
These fucking people. Everything that happens in this movie is completely normal.
No one is surprised.
No one is surprised ever. The stupid gremlin shows up in this office building. No one knows. No. Even before that.
Yeah.
In the alleyway. So
The scientist dude was like, "Oh, look, well, this is interesting."
he said something like,
I
"Oh,
told
the
you,
things
John.
that-"
If you go a weird place, you're gonna find weird things, or something like that.
It's something about like, this is what you get for being in New York. Like,
Yeah, like
weird,
found a gremlin.
weird rodent creatures that no one has ever seen before.
So the gremlins are taking over this giant office complex building,
Oh.
and people were like, "They're over there!" Not like there's these creatures that suddenly showed up, and I'm scared for my life because I've never seen these before. They're like, "There they are!"
Nobody has ever seen these. Well, okay, so
you
here's
can't tell because of their meta jokes that aren't very well done.
we couldn't figure this out because in this universe, Gremlins,
It seems
the
like
movie
Gremlins,
exists.
the movie happened.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if it happened because like the news story got out of the first one with the shopping mall or whatever that got like burnt down, or the whatever happened with them fighting the gremlins in the end.
No, but the actual the movie existed, not the actual events in the movie.
Not like a
first
movie
one, right?
of the story of the first one, but like this movie of the first, like the first movie was.
Isn't that what happened?
I think it's hard to tell because their jokes are bad and they're not well explained.
Oh my gosh, we're pretty sure that the actual movie, not the events that took place in the first movie, the actual movie exists in this universe. So people have seen Gremlins, but now suddenly they're like real and not just like a movie thing.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen either of these films, if you haven't seen Gremlins 1, watch it. It's a classic.
No. Read the wiki for Gremlins 1 to figure out the story, and then watch Gremlins 2.
Gremlins 1 is great. It's a classic. It's a good film. It's enjoyable, but it's enjoyed by most people that
guess.
have seen it.
I guess.
And it's a classic movie. Then watch Gremlins 2 and regret everything you did for an hour. What was it? Hour 45 minutes.
It's almost 2 hours long. It's very close to being 2 hours long.
It is the worst movie I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh.
It is like bar none
terrible.
the worst movie I've ever seen.
It's
So you should watch it.
That's awful. And there's so many things.
Die slowly inside.
There's so many things like that we're just glossing over because we can't talk about this whole damn thing.
There's a horror gremlin with lipstick and boobs, and there's a flasher gremlin, and there's one that goes for like 40 minutes straight, and it's the worst thing, and it turns your brain to mush.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
so horrible.
There is a flasher gremlin. I completely forgot
There's a
about
flasher
that.
gremlin. Oh yeah.
That's his sole
There's
purpose is to go around
gremlin
flashing.
conga line at one point.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that should not
His
exist.
sole purpose is to go around flashing nothing.
He
I mean,
has
they
a
don't
tiny
have
trench
anything.
coat. Where did he get a tiny trench coat? No one knows.
The horror gremlin has a wig.
And like a leopard print dress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tiny little heels.
A tiny little wedding dress at the end. Nothing. That's all.
Oh my gosh.
This is
Oh yeah. If you're wondering,
Gremlins 2, stuff happens.
If
There's
you're-
also Gremlins.
if you start
The
this
end.
movie wondering, oh, I wonder if a gremlin is going to get married to a human man in this movie. Yes, that happens.
I wonder if there's vegetable gremlins. Yeah, there are. I wonder if a gremlin turns the bat, flies into wet cement, flies away, lands on a building, turns into a gargoyle. Yes, happens. I wonder if there's a smart gremlin with a lab coat with glasses who can talk and sing
Oh my
New York,
gosh.
New York. Yes, that happens. Oh,
This movie is.
I regret that movie. Fully.
Awful.
A movie I don't regret.
I kind of want to see
Nope,
it.
we're still on Gremlins.
I kind of want to see it
I tried to get away,
again.
guys. I'm sorry.
I kind of want to see it again.
No.
That was just so bad that I kind of was. Maybe I'm getting suckered into this or something. That's the magic of Gremlins 2.
It's not magic, it's the curse. It's the hex of Gremlins 2.
Oh, real quick before we move on, a guy puts a gremlin through a shredder, and it is one of the most awful things I've ever
Glorious,
seen.
Goopy things I've ever seen in a film.
I mean, no cutaway,
Just a gremlin
just
getting
shoving a
mashed and shredded through
gremlin
while he
alive,
screams.
screaming gremlin into a shredder
Yeah.
as green goop.
And it's the first
and
time he's
flash.
seen a gremlin, and he's not freaking out. He's just shoving it through a shredder because that's what you do when you see this creature that's dancing on your countertop.
Somehow he has some kind of industrial shredder that can shred
built into the
organic
countertop, like
matter.
that's safe. It's like built into the countertop. It's not a separate shredder. It's just built into the laboratory countertop. Really super safe for experiments and life.
Oh, it's terrible. It was one of the most awful things I've ever seen.
There you go. There's our review of Gremlins 2.
Imagine squeezing wet Play-Doh through your hands
Jeez, no thanks.
over and over again,
I'm good.
but like with tomatoes.
No, nope.
That's what it was like. And then like screaming and arms moving all over the place.
Yes. So that was the spoiler-free portion of our podcast. Gremlins 2, the review. Watch
should
it,
probably talk
but also
about-
don't.
Another movie that we saw this week. Star Wars: The Rogue One story.
Star Wars Rouge One. Because no one can spell anywhere ever.
No one can spell rogue.
Ragu. Ragu.
Ragu
One.
One.
A pasta story. Yeah,
Chef Boyardee is back.
have to steal the plans
that
to
Ragu?
SpaghettiOs.
That's a different brand, isn't it?
I don't eat canned.
I'm gonna drink this whiskey while you talk about
All right.
it.
So Rogue One was really good. If you have not seen it yet and do not want to hear any spoilers for the film, do not listen any further. Spoilers,
Yep.
There is a sequel. It's called A New Hope. This movie ends butting right the damn hell up against it. Literally.
Is that a spoiler?
Yes.
Have we already warned? Oh yeah.
People should know that A New Hope comes after this. If you don't, why are you here?
But
so
you know,
I
people
thought Rogue One was amazing.
people really came for our Gremlins 2.
Gremlins 2? No, they're all...
They come for Gremlins 2 and they stay for Rogue
All right,
One.
stop the podcast here. Go watch Gremlins 2. Think about your life for a week. Come back. Listen to the rest, and we'll talk about Rogue One.
We'll wait.
And we're back.
Jeez, it took you
So-
so long.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's like
Their
was
life
like-
was destroyed by
it's like
Gremlins
6
2.
months ago. We're coming back 6 months
They have a
later.
beard, just like a foot long.
We've already seen
living
episode
in a
3
box.
trailer.
Yeah. So, Rogue One was really good.
Yes.
I really, really enjoyed it.
Yes. I had certain expectations going into it, and every single one of those expectations were met.
Met or exceeded,
Exceeded.
I thought.
One expectation in particular, we'll talk about in a minute, but
And I know I
was
tweeted about this.
completely
I
exceeded.
kept being asked by a few people, you know, how does it compare against episode 7, you know, The Force Awakens? Is it better than The Force Awakens?
Right.
I've had a few people ask me this weekend, and you can't compare them because they're totally different kinds of movies.
Yes.
One is a war movie, one is a saga film that's continuing a story that we've cared about forever.
Yeah.
One is the tone is completely different, the purpose of the film is completely different.
Right.
I don't think it's a fair comparison to try to compare them.
And it's more
all.
than just tone too. I mean, I was trying to think about how to put this into words, but it's not. Yes, the tone is different. The whole feel is different.
Like it's. I mean, like they built up to it. It's a war movie, and it actually shows.
Yeah.
What I enjoyed is it showed both sides of the war. It showed a darker side of the rebels that I've not seen in anything yet. Ever.
Yes, it showed like there. I was going to mention that like
Cassian at the beginning shooting that guy in the back.
Yeah.
Because he had information they needed. They got the information and he killed him so that they couldn't find out any more information.
Right, and
about
at
the
that
rebels.
point he was just baggage for Cassian. So
yes,
get rid of him.
And then when the group of Cassian's group like joins the Rogue One team, like to go, he's like, yeah, some of us are assassins or other things. Like he was talking about all these jobs that people have done, like assassins or people that are infiltrating stuff. And
right at that point in the movie,
dark side, they're like, oh yeah, they're not just like we want to save the universe.
Right,
and like these happy country boys who are like, we're gonna do it and do it right and good. Like they were killing people for information too. Yeah. Like there was a dark side to the rebellion, which I guess I always knew that. We've just never actually seen it or talked about it. It's like one of those things like we don't talk about that. We're the rebels, we're the good guys. We're gonna save everybody from the bad guys who kill people as well.
At that point in the movie, we that was right after they came out of the council, whatever, the board meeting for the rebels.
When they decide that we're not going to follow up on this plan of saving your father type thing. Right.
Yeah. We're not going to go after, because we don't think the information is, credible enough or whatever. But anyway,
Jin's the only one who saw this hologram of her father, and no one trusts her that she's telling the truth, that he put a secret,
right. Because it's so
secret flaw into the Death Star. And they're like, no, he's an Imperial engineer or scientist, and you know he's a bad guy, and we've always you're the only one that saw it, and you're his daughter, why would we listen to you?
Yeah, exactly. The stakes are too high to try to
Mon Mothma agrees with her and trusts her, but some of the other people do not.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, when we come out of that and Cassian has his little speech, the gist of it was, we did all these things.
We've done these horrible things.
These horrible, terrible things, but we've always justified it by saying, well, it's for a greater cause. Like the end result, the ends justify the means. It's the end result is going to be good for
something
everyone.
We believed in.
Yeah.
But now the decisions they're making are nothing, or what we don't believe in anymore.
Right. And you always, at least I've always wondered, how the Alliance, what their methods were, how they operated and stuff. And you got to see a lot of that.
Yeah, kind of like they did what they had to do.
Right.
And you never really hear about, you didn't get to hear about that or talk about it before.
Because the only history we've had on the Alliance so far that's been completely canon is the Rebels series, right? And then maybe like a book or two.
I guess.
I mean, I'm thinking the Alliance as it's being built, not once it's in full swing after the Death Star, Yeah. All we've really had is the Rebels cartoon, and the stakes are just so low in that. None of the main characters die.
Kind of, yeah.
It just, you see, there's kind of some sacrifice there, but not a whole lot.
Well, even getting to see that there was a council of these planets, and they're being head people, and they're trying to make joint decisions, and there's not Mon Mothma wasn't the one in charge.
Yeah.
They were all kind of it's either majority or we don't do it, basically.
Right.
And it didn't seem to always work out for them because, they're all well, we don't trust her. Half of them do and half of them don't. And Mon Mothma's well, sorry, the thing that really should be happening is not going to happen because we're trying to be the better people. And if we don't all agree, then we're not going to go through with it.
Right. So, yeah. So like you're saying, it was cool to see that the darker side of the Alliance and all the consequences from everything that they've had to do. Yeah. And even with all the stuff that those guys have had to do, they were saying people like Saw Gerrera were taking it to another level. which
like,
we kind of saw.
They were the guerrilla warfare.
Yeah,
Like actually, like they captured Bodhi
yeah.
when he was trying to come to them with information. Like, well, Saul seemed like totally off his rocker. Like,
Oh, yeah, he
crazy
was-
at this point. Where it's
yeah.
like he doesn't trust anyone. Everyone is lying. Even
Everyone's
Jin,
out to
he
get
thought
him.
Jin was lying and was out to get him. And
Yeah.
like, she was part of like they sent you here, didn't they,
Yeah.
to kill me?
Yeah, I mean, Saul, he basically wiped Bodhi's mind, or like,
For a
sent him
while.
into some kind
For
of
like a week.
vegetative state, basically, because of
Yeah.
that monster. They ambushed the Kyber crystal
Yeah.
shipment by just like totally killing
Blowing it
everybody.
in the middle of like a town square where there are innocent people.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were the more. So as much as sacrifice as we heard about and saw with the Alliance, Saul kind of took that to
Yeah, he was
another level,
the violence of the Empire's version of the rebellion,
basically. Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know where to start with this.
It was so good. So, I mean,
was great.
that was basically the beginning before the whole Rogue Run mission goes down.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, we're not doing like a review of the movie. We don't do reviews.
No, not really. Just
We
our
just talk about the things
impressions
that are awesome.
and things. So going into this, what were a few expectations that you had that were either met or
You refused to place a bet with me because you always lose bets against me, and you would have lost this one as well.
yeah.
My going into it, I said everyone will die. The entire Rogue One crew, all 5, 6 of them, if you include K2,
Yeah.
will die.
And I
I
couldn't.
thought Darth Vader would be the one to kill most of them. That
Yes.
I was wrong about.
Yeah.
And I thought Krennic would die too, because he kind of has to.
Which, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. That is true, but not in the way that you thought, and that
I thought Vader would
happen.
kill Krennic.
Yes, me too.
I really did. And I thought Vader would be, because my assumption was, at the start of A New Hope, Vader is so hot on the heels of Leia and the plans that I knew it had to butt like right up against the end of Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's chasing the plans, he's already there capturing Leia. He's super close to it. So
Yeah.
that means he had to I thought he was going to kill the crew and right from that go to chasing Leia, basically. The handoff happened and he went after them, which is basically what happened.
Kind of what happened, but in a different way. Yeah. My prediction going into it was most of the crew would die, but not Jin. For some reason, I just couldn't see
I thought maybe one of them could survive.
the
but,
lead
not
surviving. But yeah, I mean,
I saw a headline the other day. It was could the Rogue One crew be back in other films? Prequel films? And why would they be in them?
Not really.
Yeah, not so much. Everyone is dead.
Yes.
I mean, everyone was on Scarif when it was blown.
Yeah.
K2 was on there. Bodhi
K2
blew up
we
in a
saw
ship.
we saw deactivate.
Which, I mean,
he got shot to death.
Yeah.
And that was actually a really touching moment.
really sad. K2.
That was sad.
Once again, Star Wars, as always, gets droids right.
Yeah.
Except for C-3PO, I still hate him.
K2 was amazing in this movie.
K2 was like I said before, what I wanted. He was basically the chiller Mr. Bones.
Yes.
He was crazy and human,
Yeah.
but just super sarcastic and super. I mean, he was the comic relief like most droids are in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which was good.
I
But
mean, he freaking picks up a stormtrooper and is smacking other
beating
stormtroopers
with a stormtrooper.
with a
He's like the
stormtrooper at
droid
one
and the
point.
Wookiee in this film.
Yeah, he was amazing.
And him with the blaster too, just doing stuff on the computer and just shooting
Yes.
out to the side without looking.
Yeah, when they're going for the data tapes, when they first walk into that room,
Yeah.
and the Imperial officer says something to them, and he's just like, what did K2 say? What was his line? Do you remember?
Well,
He walks up
he's
to the console.
the rebels went that way, and they're like, what? And then Cassian starts talking through the thing. He's like, "Oh, there they are.
There's one now.
Oh, there's one now." That's what he said.
No, but I mean, when they first walk into that room and there's that one officer at the console, he just walks up and says something, and then just bonks him on the
Just smacks
head,
his fist down, smacks him on the top of the head, and knocks him out.
crushes his spine, or
Probably
something.
kills him. Yes.
It's just like a bonk.
Yeah. K2 was,
That was great.
awesome.
Yeah, he was great.
I'm glad that Alan Tudyk got to be K2.
So there's one expectation that everyone would die. That
Yes,
happened.
and that
Was
happened.
there anything else for you that?
I wanted a badass Vader scene, which totally delivered.
Yes.
Which we can talk more in depth about that. I'm trying to think expectations. I mean, it's what's going to happen. You know the story.
Well, yeah, I just mean the details of the story. Were there any?
I don't know. I really didn't go into it with any expectations other than I thought they all needed to die just for story sake.
Yeah, for
'Cause
some reason
I
I
don't
didn't
like how often films, especially in Star Wars, I mean, not necessarily in Star Wars, but in films where you like leave a main character alive, and like there's always that hope of, oh, there'll be sequels now and more movies about this person. Like this was about the plans of the Death Star
Yeah.
and the start
Yeah.
of the saga films. Like
just-
they're the main characters, and honestly, I liked all the main characters. Some
Yeah.
of them less important than others, and weren't in the film as much as I thought they would be.
Yeah.
I cared about them for the story's sake, but I did not care about them in the larger picture. Like they were I
Yeah.
knew what their purpose was, and after this, they don't really have a purpose. So I
Well,
didn't see a reason they needed to survive.
The reason I was expecting that at least one of them would survive wasn't because of sequels or anything like that. I just thought to invest that much in a character, I don't know.
Well, I mean that was my expectation too, with them keeping saying that it was a war film, like it was a Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan type thing.
But even those,
Like where like tons of the main characters
Right,
die.
we talked about
Not
this
everyone
earlier.
dies in like Saving Private Ryan, but
Right.
most of the main characters, like a lot of main characters,
right,
die.
right, and I was expecting that. I just wasn't expecting, like you were just saying, and we had talked about this earlier, in like Saving Private Ryan and in Band of Brothers and in several other war type,
Yeah.
movies. You like the entire cast doesn't die,
Yes, but
or the entire cast that the main cast that you care about,
Yes.
right?
But then after having seen it, like
That's just
I
wasn't-
get why they all died. Like it makes it
Yeah,
it makes
totally-
what they did that much
totally
more
makes sense.
important
Exactly.
as to the outcome. Like getting starting the saga films off with getting these plans
Yeah.
out. Like what they did was so important, and the fact that they died doing that was important to the story in the film.
Yes, there's this undertone of sacrifice throughout the
Yeah.
entire movie. Like there's Galen's sacrifice in
Yeah.
giving up himself to protect his family. Right, there's Saw's sacrifice in giving up everything, and he eventually goes crazy basically because he believes in the Alliance. And then like this at the end, everyone sacrifices their lives.
Yeah, Cassian joining the crew because like he's
Yes.
doing this for what he believes in,
Right.
not because he wants to stay safe with the
Right.
he doesn't
And
want
they
to
all-
live comfortably in what he's been doing.
And they all go into this knowing in the back of their minds that this is probably it.
Well, yeah,
and
it's
as
a
they're
crew of like 15
as-
landing on
right,
Scarif, which is a fully occupied Imperial planet. Like
Right.
only people there are the Empire.
right. Like
And
this
so
is a
there's really
one-way
not an
trip.
expectation that they're going to make it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like you said, it totally makes sense for that all to happen
Yeah,
in the bigger picture. And I thought it was everything was really well thought out. Like I didn't I mean I've only seen it once, but
yes,
I didn't notice any like big plot holes or anything like that.
I didn't think so. I mean,
Again, I'd have
I
to go
really
back and
thought
see it
Vader
again,
would. Like Vader never interacted with any of the characters, like at all.
Well, Krennic.
Well,
That's about
Krennic,
it.
I'm talking about the like Rogue One crew.
Yes.
Like he didn't have anything to do with any of them, which I mean he's much more important than to have to deal with them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I really thought that he would, because of the importance of the plans, that he would show up to, and that's like I thought he was going to be the one to kill Jyn, honestly.
Yes. Yeah.
Which didn't happen, but I get it.
I'm kind of glad though that we didn't have that sort of moment, like a confrontation between Vader and
Like,
Jyn,
it didn't have to be Vader.
because this was one thing I want to talk about. This movie felt like it took the Star Wars universe. Like we've always known because of like the EU and
Yeah.
these new books and comics we're getting that the Star Wars universe is huge, right?
Yes.
But
And it's always the same 6 people in all the saga films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and this is the,
The Han
first
Solo film that's going to be coming out is Han Solo,
right.
another one of the 6 characters that's in every single Star Wars film.
This is the first thing in Star Wars, whether it's a book, whether it's I don't know, whether it's a comic or movie, whatever it
Yeah.
is. This is the first thing that has, in my mind, taken it and just expanded Star Wars.
Like it's completely separate from everything else we've been involved in.
Yes.
But still involved in, but still a part of what we've been involved in.
Right. Like it just felt so big.
Like, yeah, because we always see, with all the saga films, it's always about this core group of people, which I understand that with the saga films. And
Yeah, you need
our
that.
expansion of everything else that was happening around the people we know was through the books and, like, the EU and all of that.
I
Never
would,
a film.
I would not want a movie like this with this tone and with the bigness like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily want that in a normal
Yeah.
saga movie, except for, and I mentioned this episode or a couple episodes ago, except for expanding our knowledge about the Force.
Yes.
I want a bigness there, but not in necessarily.
I think we've talked about both of these things. It's just the fact that there is so much else going on in the Star Wars universe, like at all times. Like there's all these little stories, a Star Wars story. There's all these little Star Wars stories that are happening that may affect the saga films or the bigger picture that we know.
Right.
But we're not really involved in them all that much.
But yeah, it's like a simultaneous
Like,
exists
Rebels
somewhere
is
else.
kind of removed, but still not as much because Vader's so involved.
Yeah.
But this was like all of this happened and affected everything else we know.
Yeah.
But everyone died and like no one knows about it.
Yeah. Right.
Like the rebels know these people sacrificed them, but that even the rebels didn't really know these people all that well. They were just guys that sent on a mission. They only sent Jen and Cassian, and the rest were just a couple of ground troops people.
Well, that's the thing. They weren't even sent because the Alliance.
They left. Yeah.
They did. I mean, they did this on their own. The Alliance declined.
So I mean, like
to get involved.
The council would have known who Cassian was, and they knew who Jen was. The rest of the people were just like people they picked up. They didn't. I mean, like no one's going to care or remember these people.
They knew about the
did something
defector.
so important.
They knew about the defector, Bodhi. I think probably.
Yes.
But yeah, like you're saying,
they're all kind of nobodies in a bigger picture, and like no one's going to remember what they did that affected everything else that happened.
Right.
Like destroying the Death Star was because of them.
Right.
And what they did was that important, and like it wasn't a big deal. It's not like, oh, the legend of Luke Skywalker, the legend of Jen Erso. No, it's just like, the plans were gotten, and Princess Leia had them.
Right. Right.
So
yeah, it's
nice.
It was great. I really liked how, like, now I don't know what it was. It's psychological, I guess, because like I said, we've had comics and books.
It's just that feeling of, I mean, it's truly it's the EU in a film finally.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like there are the other stories happening that are important that don't necessarily always have directly to do with all the people we know.
Yeah.
But there's really cool stuff that's happening in Star Wars and in the universe that may like sideways align with other things that are happening.
Yeah.
And obviously this butts up against A New Hope, and it really is like directly related. There's so much that went on that, we don't know about or didn't get to see, or people didn't know about that was happening. And it just, there's important stories that matter.
Yeah.
And we're finally getting that expanded universe in films, which is great.
Right. And speaking of, well, I was going to talk about Vader, but before, I mean, everybody wants to talk about Vader because we got so many excellent Vader moments that I really, there's a lot
Vader
to talk
puns.
about there. Yes, there's a lot to talk about. But before I do that, what did you think of Krennic, how he was portrayed in the movie? Because I have some thoughts on him.
Krennic, how he was portrayed.
I can give my thoughts real quick if you don't want to.
And I mean, I've read about half of Catalyst before seeing the film. I didn't get to finish it, but I read about half of it.
Yeah, same here.
And knowing about Krennic and that he was also kind of a nobody. He wasn't like, he's not Tarkin. He wasn't like from royalty or from a governor, like the son of a governor or like anything important.
Right. And this is stuff you find out in
like
Catalyst.
A smart engineer dude.
Yeah.
Who just like worked his way up through the ranks because he was pretty smart and knew how to work people and get what he wanted. But
yeah, spoiler alert, I'm also reading this book. I just want to put that out there.
Michael has read a book. It's his first
book.
book.
I think I'm further than you, unless you've read more. You've probably read more by this point.
Maybe. But it's one, cool to see him treated that way by everyone else. Like, you're just this engineer. Yes, you have a high ranking. You have a high rank, but that doesn't make you anything special.
That doesn't make you hot stuff.
You are in charge of this weapon project.
He dresses like he's hot stuff.
Yes.
He acts like he carries himself like he's hot stuff, but then you see him in relation to everybody else, and he really isn't.
well, you see him with Tarkin, and Tarkin is this, which, holy shit, Tarkin.
Yeah, Tarkin. I was not expecting so much Tarkin.
I knew we were going to have a CG Tarkin.
I didn't
did not
even know
expect that much of a CG Tarkin.
I didn't know.
Like, he was in a lot of the film.
Yeah.
And that was awesome.
And carried a lot of the film, and like there was some uncanny valley sort of moments,
little bit, yes.
like especially
because
with
of how much he was focused on.
Yes, because of especially with like the lips, you could tell. Obviously you could tell, but
I mean, obviously it's easier with aliens because they're a thing you've not seen before. But with a human being,
it was
really good looking,
and the voice was incredible.
I wonder who.
I don't know.
Recreated the voice or.
No. He said way too many lines for that to be recreated. It was somebody else.
But yeah, just Tarkin just talking down to him,
especially
and Tarkin already has this presence of like, everyone else is trash, and he even almost treats Vader that way sometimes.
Yeah, and if you read the book, that it sort of makes sense why he thinks that way.
Yeah,
because he really is an insanely smart dude, and he's been through a lot.
Yes.
So of course, he would think that way. But anyway,
yeah.
I was gonna say real quick. There's, when he says the line, "You may fire when ready." It sounds exactly like when he says it in A New Hope.
I mean, and
maybe they did.
They pulled the other archive footage and stuff, so they may have pulled archive sound too.
Maybe they did, but it sounded exactly like.
But him just stepping
the inflection
all over
and
Krennic,
everything.
just stepping all over Krennic with I'm taking over the project now, basically, like. And what's because weird, it came from the scientists. I'm taking over the project now. Like there was really nothing justifying that. It was just
Tarkin
pretty much this was
Tarkin.
always going to happen.
Yeah.
And now I have a reason to give you that doesn't really matter what my reason is, but you can't do anything about it.
Right.
Because I'm Tarkin.
And what's weird is Krennic has a point that he does realize like what a big deal this battle station is. And it seems like, there's a couple when Krennic and Vader have their little interaction.
Krennic's important enough to be visiting Vader and talking, like delivering a message to Vader.
Personally.
Which may have just been like, you screwed up. Guess what? You get to go to Vader we'll talk about this place later.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that we need to talk about.
Well, yeah, like I said, we'll talk about Vader in a second because there's a lot there. But it's like Vader is... Well, I guess he always was kind of skeptical about the Death Star and how, like, what its purpose was, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But he says it. He makes it obvious.
Even from Anakin's point of view, it was always about, like, Anakin, when he was turning dark and starting to turn dark, it was all about making people do what he wanted them to do.
Yeah.
Through the Force.
Yes.
Not through Force, but through the Force.
Yes.
And I think, like, this battle station, like, me and Palpatine can take care of it. Like, we have the Force. We're powerful. We don't need this giant weapon.
Yeah,
to do what we want to do.
Which Vader
why
says,
do we need this? It's almost like he's the weapon. Like, I'm the weapon. Why do we need this?
Yeah.
Like, I can take care of everything.
Yes.
Which
Vader says pretty much flat out in A New Hope when he's telling that dude, don't get too proud of this technological terror.
Nothing is compared to the power of the Force.
Yeah. It was cool to see that attitude kind of backed up in
like Vader's
in the
like
movie
had
here.
no part in the Death Star build. Like,
and he was skeptical about it.
This is not my thing.
Right. So anyway, to finish up what I was talking about, Krennic, he always knew like how significant the Death Star would be, how powerful it was, what its significance was, and its place is to enforce the Emperor's will and all that. He always believed in it, obviously, because it's kind of his baby.
Yeah.
But then to see him, when he's like talking to Tarkin,
on Jeddah,
huh?
Are you talking about like when they made the first shot on Jeddah?
What do you mean?
Like the first firing of the weapon?
I'm just saying all along he knew how powerful it was and how significant it was.
Yes.
So when you see him talking to Tarkin, when you see him talking to Vader, he carries himself a little higher than he actually is, but he's backed up by this knowledge that, like, I created you something that's going to be incredible.
Well,
I know that for sure.
Too. He's like, when he first talks to Galen, in the field, he's like, we were on the verge of greatness.
Yeah.
And Galen's like, fear is not great. Whatever is not great. He's like, you have to start somewhere. Was his response? It's like, well, you have to start somewhere. You have to start with something. So it was that whole thing of, it's almost like, I don't know if that was just his ploy to get Galen back, or if he really truly believed this would enforce their power to make the universe better.
Krennic?
Yes. I'm wondering about that.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
Or if that was just a ploy to get Galen back into it.
Yeah, again, I need to read. I haven't finished Catalyst. I need to read more.
Because, at the beginning of Rogue One, he was like, we were on the verge of greatness. And, Galen responds with, it's not, whatever. Fear is not great. What's great about fear, or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you have to start somewhere, I think was his response.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because that's the Emperor's thing, is ruling by fear.
Yeah.
But I wonder if some of these people still actually believe that that ruling by, or taking, just ruling by fear or leading with fear would actually make anything better. If they actually thought there was a good outcome to any of this.
Well, I think everyone believes that the galaxy needs to be controlled.
Needs to be ruled. Yes.
controlled. Yeah,
Told
that's
what
the
to do,
difference
yeah.
between them and the Alliance. Like you were saying with the Alliance, it's a majority rule,
Everyone
democracy.
gets a say. If we don't all agree, then
Yeah.
nothing happens.
Right. Whereas the Empire is everything needs to be controlled by the will of one
Do what
man.
we say, and everything will be fine.
Right. Which in some cases,
In some ways.
it's understandable,
Yeah.
why they think like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
I don't know. It's just
forget
interesting again, just like seeing that dark side of the
forget what we were talking about.
rebellion. Seeing that, it's getting both sides, seeing that dark side of the rebellion, but also hearing Krennic like say, "Well, you have to start somewhere." Like,
yeah.
yes, we're doing this for a reason. Almost like we're not just the bad guys who are destroying things. Like this is for a purpose, almost.
Yeah.
Which you don't really hear a lot about either.
It's like you're saying, it's that other side.
Like each
got to
side has
see
a
both
reason as to why
sides.
they're doing this,
Yeah.
and why they're doing the bad things they're doing,
And we got
both
to see
sides,
both
and
of
it's,
that,
And it's, I think some of that was in Bloodlines as well. But like we're
But
doing
that's
this
after everything.
Well, yeah,
this
we're
and
doing
this
this
is
to make
before.
the universe better. Well, so are we, but for a totally different purpose or
Yeah, and with-
outcome
right.
type thing.
Yeah.
It's really just the
It was really cool to see that.
it's the
Yeah.
it's that whole Republican Democrat like type. Like we have the outcomes are really, and that's a stupid way to go about it. And I'm trying to think of a better way to say it, but like in Bloodlines where there's the two sides, the two
Yeah.
groups of people, and like, well, we want to make the universe good, and well, so do we. Well, we want to do it this way. Well, we want to do it this way.
Yeah, true.
And both sides don't like the way the other, like, that's not going to, being nice isn't going to do anything. Another one's like, well, being mean's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And seeing that in
Being
like, the
nice
actual-
and mean, that's the that's the dichotomy there.
Vader was mean, y'all.
We're nice. We're the good guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we should talk about Vader now.
Holy hot hell.
So
Okay, so
The
every
first-
planet you get to see in Rogue One
Yes.
has a pop-up name, like little title card at the bottom with
Yeah.
the name of the planet,
right.
which I thought was great.
Yep.
That was really nice. You don't have to like go look in a book and be like, "What planet was that on?" Or
Right.
like if they just decide like mention it half-heartedly in a conversation.
Yeah.
Like it's like, "Hey, this is Jeddah. Hey, this is Scarif. Hey, this is Yavin 4." Lava planet. No words.
No words.
A castle. Vader's castle?
A castle. This is Vader's castle, the castle
Seriously, what the hell?
that's been in the EU
That was
for
the most
a while.
unexpected thing to come
Yes.
out of this film, and my biggest like, huh?
Yeah.
Like I need more information about this. Like,
Yeah.
now.
Well, I mean, this is
So this is Vader's castle on Mustafar, right?
it's on Mustafar. It has
It
to
has
be,
to be, right?
That's
lava-
the
he
geography.
built his
matches.
castle on the planet he was
He almost died.
almost died on, and
Yeah.
became Darth Vader.
Basically, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, it's so. Oh my! I'm just so glad that Vader's castle is now part of
he's
the real
and
canon.
that back to tank, which I called it way back. That back to tank had Vader in it.
Yeah,
But I never knew. The question was always like, who's in the back to tank with Imperial Guard? So who cares about the who anymore? It's the where. He's like on his castle. He has like an acolyte dude coming in, like Lord Krennic's
Yeah.
here to see you. Like
Yeah.
he has like followers basically, like his servants at his castle.
it's so cool.
He has Imperial Guards, which I would more expect stormtroopers than Imperial Guards. Maybe he's vulnerable while in the back to tank, and he needs
Maybe
he's someone who can actually kill something.
I would think that he needs someone more disciplined, because if
Yeah, someone who can actually do something when fighting
Yeah.
fighting bad guys.
I would
Whereas
im-
stormtroopers are like
I would imagine
crap troopers.
that castle and the back to tank is more for meditation and focusing his rage or whatever he does.
Well, he
there.
already had his meditation chamber because he took that on trips with him in the Tarkin book.
That was
He brought it with
in.
him. In Tarkin.
It was on the Executor, because the first time we saw that was in Empire, right?
Yes.
So
Well,
that was on the Executor class.
but in the Tarkin book, he brought it with them on their trip too. Him and Tarkin.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
I forgot that.
Yeah, he the Tarkin was internal monologuing about this meditation giant chamber that Vader was bringing with him.
Right.
So he already had it. So I don't know why the back to tank instead of the meditation chamber. Like if he actually is still needing it to keep his I think you mentioned we were talking about this off air. It was like maybe to keep his skin actually still alive because he's
That's what I
like
thought.
rotting
Yeah.
or something. I don't know.
That's what I thought that he would need periodic refreshing. I don't know.
Exfoliation.
Basically,
Nice.
just to keep
a
him
nice
alive.
soak.
Yeah.
It's just Vader's bath time.
I don't know. I was trying to remember the name of that Executor class Star Destroyer, but
Executor.
it's Executor.
Yeah, but the British people, like in the book, like films
Executor?
and stuff, they're always like Executor. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, he
So he
had it
so
on
he has a
there.
castle. The castle that have like, I'm assuming this is Bast Castle still. Is it still called Bast Castle?
I would imagine that's what it was called
Well,
in the EU.
In the EU, Bast Castle was on a different planet, which like was an acid-soaked planet.
It was on-
Of course, that existed before we had the prequels, which had Mustafar.
Yes,
So
that was Vune.
it
Was
would
that
be
the
interesting
planet?
to know if he has multiple castles or if this is like the
I would
Vader
think that
castle
yeah, this is the Vader castle.
on
yeah.
Mustafar, and I need
Right.
more information about why this castle
Like
exists.
like in the Clone Wars, they found Grievous's hangout. You remember that episode?
Yes. Like he had his
Something like that.
His castle type places.
Yeah, that was
don't know
Clone
what it
Wars,
was.
right?
I believe so. Yes.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's similar to that, I would imagine.
I guess so. So
I'm
yeah.
just so glad that it's. I mean, because that's a deep cut
Yes,
from
and
the EU.
I mean the biggest thing about that is there was no title card for that planet.
Yeah,
So we're assuming it's Mustafar. Maybe it would be too much, like it would have taken too much away from the scene to tell you where it was.
that's what I was saying. That it's.
Um,
I think it would have been too distracting because all the nerds would have been like, "Oh, Mustafar! It's Vader! Vader's coming up!" You know.
Maybe. So
Although I loved
well-
how that in that scene where the acolyte was walking up to the back to
Yeah.
chamber, it was like it could be Palpatine. Is it Palpatine?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
they
yeah.
showed his face, and it's not.
yeah,
They waited till the last possible moment and then showed his face.
maybe
and
Vader
then,
and Palpatine like share, like it's like a joint. It's like their summer home.
yeah,
They just okay. You get it on these weekends. I get it on these weekends. I have every other summer.
it was just cool. The anticipation. That whole scene was
Yes.
just so great.
Not expecting that to be the place for Vader in the film.
Right. Yeah, that was
And
awesome.
I'm trying to remember. There's going to be a Rogue One visual dictionary coming out.
Is there? Okay.
So I'm wondering if we'll have any like details like of
On
the
it?
back to tank with like details about that or the castle or a planet name or the
Yeah.
name of the castle or anything like that.
yeah.
So yeah, Pablo is putting one of those out as well.
I wonder if it's on the data bank. You think?
Already?
I don't know. Would it be?
I don't know.
I can check.
So yes, Vader. Shit. So his castle. That's a big thing that I want backstory on.
Yeah, that was huge.
I want backstory on that somehow.
Yes.
I want information.
Yes.
But we kept talking about we want an awesome Vader scene. We want Vader fighting with his lightsaber. It wasn't as gory as I wanted it to be, but it was scary in a way. So it wasn't as violent.
what he did?
But it was still violent. But it was more like Vader. Okay, so this is at the end of Rogue One. He's walking down the ship. If you've seen Rogue One, you know exactly what we're talking about. It's
Yeah.
Vader fighting his way onto a Republic cruiser, chasing
also-
the plans like a foot away from the guy that has the
Yeah.
thumb drive with the plans
Right.
on it. The space thumb drive with the plans on it. It's like running down the hallway, passing it to someone else because he just died.
Also-
And that guy getting shot in the legs, passing it to someone else because he's about to die.
Well, yeah. So go back, and like the scene starts with, the guys loading it, on the little thumb drive,
Yeah.
and they're running down
Got
the
it.
hallway, and then there's this,
Like the lights flicker.
the lights flicker, and it's exactly like the scene in A New Hope where Vader shows up.
Except for the door doesn't like
On the Tantive
hiss,
IV.
like doesn't like get cut down. Vader's just there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you hear this, like this metal crunching, and you have the rebel troopers all turn around with their guns out, just like that scene in A New Hope.
But in that scene, like the stormtroopers did all the work, and then Vader walked in after everything was cleared.
Sure, but I'm saying it just like the anticipation of it was just incredible. And then you just see Vader fade in, and
Well, the cool thing is like in
the lightsaber ignites, and you're like, oh shit,
like
this
it's,
is
it's
it.
just like a black hallway, and the lightsaber ignites, and there's Vader, like you see him.
Yeah,
But the cool thing is like if you think about A New Hope, like the stormtroopers blast down the door, and they take everybody out, and then Vader walks in like royalty.
yeah,
But that's because they already had them. Like they already had them tractor beamed in, like they were trapped. Like they
Yes.
already had the ship. Whereas this, like Vader's like a foot away from the plan, so Vader's taking this, and Vader's taking control of the
He's
situation.
taking point.
Like, and he was stalking down that hallway like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, like
He is
getting,
ready to
getting
kill.
shot at, not missing a step, not stopping, not hesitating, just barreling forward,
Yeah.
throwing people into the ceiling, throwing people into people, throwing people into the wall, stabbing people through the door,
Yeah.
hacking them down, but like just constantly stepping forward,
Never
stopping.
faltering.
No one can do anything about this.
Yeah.
Run. It's like there was just this fear around that scene that like I wanted it to be violent and Vader like doing stuff, but it was so much better that it was so like powerful It was so scary.
Like each step.
It was
you
so
know?
scary that he was like,
Yeah.
he was so powerful that it doesn't have to be crazy.
Right.
Like he's so powerful that like nothing can stop him because he's like
It was a room
like,
full of
like
good,
Jason
like,
Voorhees,
8
like
guys.
undead. Doesn't matter if you stab him, he's just gonna keep stepping for you until he hacks you down with his
Right.
machete. Like it was spooky.
Yeah.
It was like haunting.
That's like the perfect feel for Vader.
Yes.
You know?
It
Just
was
so
the violence I
intimidating.
wanted, but more of like a.
It was a controlled.
It was like a mental violence. Like it affected you not in a like visual way.
Yeah.
It was more of like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
Oh yeah, so good.
Yeah, that was a great Vader scene.
And then so the first time we hear Vader speak is when he's
jeez.
talking with Krennic. So after he gets out of the back to tank and everything, he resuits.
James Earl Jones.
Yeah, and he walks up to
The
Krennic.
voice.
So yeah, the first time you see him in the suit, he walks up to Krennic, and it's like, this is
It
Vader.
is Vader.
He's got the like
Like the
know,
voice isn't off. It's not some other guy doing it. It's still
Right.
James Earl Jones. And it's
this is
pitched
Vader.
perfectly. The suit is amazing.
Yeah.
I love the scarlet eye.
The
pieces
yeah
in
the
helmet. I know I
right.
mentioned that on the podcast, but like seeing them in the film, it's just so
Yeah,
everything about it was good.
it was perfect. And then of course he drops a pun. It reminded me of Arnold Schwarzenegger as why can't I remember his name? I never
Mr.
remember
Freeze?
anybody's. Yes, Mr. Freeze.
All the
Jeez.
ice puns.
I got so angry.
Yes.
Yeah, it reminded me of Schwarzenegger as it's Mr.
Yeah, with
Freeze.
all his ice puns of,
Don't choke on your aspirations.
yeah, it's like don't choke on your aspirations while he's like aspirating because he's being choked.
I think I was trying to do Schwarzenegger's accent there.
Do not choke on your aspirations.
It's more about
That was
Borat as
was that-
as Mr. Freeze.
That was Mr. Freeze, right? Do not do it.
No, not do it.
Cool off. That's him, right?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that's my best Schwarzenegger impression is cool off.
Cool out. Hey, cool out. That's sort of getting there, right?
I think that's more of Stallone. Yeah,
Cool out.
cool off.
Hey,
There you go, cool off.
cool out.
You gotta like give yourself a stroke face to make it sound right.
This is cool out
Hey
there.
guys, you should
Hey,
go
guys.
cool off.
Hey, cool out there, man.
Yes. But no, James Earl Jones was much better than Mr. Freeze. Thank you very much.
Hey, cool out. Hey.
It's like the
better, right?
most like the most
Hey,
just the noises of like that everyone does, just the noises of the non-noises that he's never made, but it's the noises.
Nice to see you.
It's the noises everyone thinks that he makes that he's never made, and that's just everyone's impression.
That's how you get there. Nice to see you.
What is that even from? What are you even saying?
That's Batman Forever, isn't it?
I have no
Nice to
idea.
see you.
Oh, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Okay, I get
Come
it.
on!
Yeah, Vader was badass.
By the way, Bast Castle was in
It's like Vajun. Vijay.
Jedi Academy.
And the planet was like VJUN, however you pronounce that.
Vune, I think.
Vajun. Vajun.
Vagina.
Vajun.
Oh, it's on the Vagina planet.
Bast Castle on Vagina.
Vagina. Oh,
Why are there French people in Star Wars now? Yeah, it's a Bast Castle
that's
on,
more
on
Italian.
Vagina.
It's more Italian, right?
Is that what? I don't know. I went to Europe once, and it was not in any of those places.
You went to Italy.
I didn't
Is that
go to
right there?
Italy. I
Talking
went
like
to
this.
part
Oh,
of Italy.
vagina. Get your vagina out of my spaghetti.
That's a spicy vagina.
Oh, why you putting the meatball in the vagina? Right? That's what everybody was saying
Sure.
to you, right? Because of
Sure.
your vagina.
Everyone just, you go to Italy and it's just everyone's yelling at vagina. They're pouring buckets out of their upstairs windows.
Of vagines? Buckets of vagines?
Buckets of vaginas.
Jeez.
Just
Sounds horrible.
the panties weren't dropping, the vaginas were. It's a horrible place. Don't go there. Lots of leprosy. It's a problem.
Well.
So Rogue One, I think somehow we got to Italian leprosy. Oh, another thing. And then we're just like fanboying about it now. But the Death Star, the shots they did on Jeddah and Scarif were single
reactor?
Yes, Tarkin specifically says when they're shooting Scarif, just a single reactor shot.
Yes.
So one, how many reactors are there? How leveled can it be based off of reactor?
Yeah. Where Alderaan probably...
I'm trying to remember if there's been a visual dictionary on the amount of reactors.
So, okay. So, going back to your angry rant several
He
episodes
says
ago...
full power, right? Or he says it's fully operational and we'll show you the full power. And they destroy the planet.
Oh, full
But
destructive power. I was saying maybe
said-
it could have been...
the full destructive power for a planet,
Yeah.
how much further power can there be?
Well, that's a little iffy. I was going to say maybe if it's variable power, apparently, maybe it goes higher than that, but no. Yeah, he did say,
Yes.
we'll witness
guess.
the full power of this. Oh, no, that was the Emperor. That was the second Death Star.
Well, that too.
Remember?
But Tarkin also says something about, showing you, doesn't he say?
Witness the full... Does he say full?
I-
Full power of this fully
I don't know.
operational
We can talk
battle
about
station.
Italian leprosy, and then it's just in my brain. It went away.
Is it gone for you now?
Okay, so talking about Vader, and I don't know how long we're going on this episode now.
Yeah,
But
we're all
The
right.
end when he stalks down that hallway and they get the plans off and hand it off onto this other ship, and the ship takes off, and
Yeah.
you see the outside, and it's Leia's ship from the beginning of New Hope, and then
The Tantive IV.
yes, and the guy
4,
goes
Tantive
through a door
4.
with the plans, and frickin' Princess Leia is there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
CGI
Like,
Princess
CG
Leia.
young Princess Leia
Yeah.
is there, and he's like, what do we have? Or like,
That was
wasn't
another-
he asking like what they had
Huh?
or something? The
Who?
guy
What
that
was
was
who
like,
asking?
well, she said something about like we have hope, or something. That was her response to whatever.
Well,
he
so yeah, it was Captain Antilles, which is who 3PO mentions
Yes.
in A New Hope as being their owners. Right? Yes.
Yes.
I'm second guessing things because I can never remember,
Yes.
apparently.
Yes.
But anyway,
Let us go.
Captain Antilles hands it to Leia. Yeah, and I don't remember his line there. But yeah, something along the lines of what's on there or
Like we
what,
have,
what is
like,
it?
What do we have, or something? And she's like, well, we have hope,
Yeah, something like
or
that.
it's hope, something like that.
Yeah.
So speaking of, you mentioned R2D2 and C3PO.
Mm-hmm.
There were a crap ton of fan service things throughout
Moments,
this film
yeah.
that
There
I
were.
did not expect. Like I thought, like little things, like in Maz's castle, there's a flag with the
Right.
Mandalorian,
Very subtle
dragon
things.
skull on it. Very
But
subtle
this was like
things.
obvious stuff.
So like C3PO, like a full shot, like comedic shot to C3PO and R2D2 on Yavin.
yeah.
Like, oh, what's going on? They never tell me anything, type
Yeah,
thing.
right.
And then the freaking X-wing pilots
Yeah.
from A New Hope.
Dutch and I don't know the other guy's name, but
I can't remember his
it was
name.
Red Leader.
Red Leader and Gold Leader, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. It was Gold Leader. Yeah,
Gold
So
Leader, Red Leader.
Red Leader and
They
Gold
pulled
Leader.
archival footage for the. I was reading about it. Like they pulled archival footage for those scenes.
Archive. So it wasn't the footage from the movies.
They may have pulled the archival footage to recreate them.
Okay.
That may have happened, but like.
Yeah,
So
it was
that you
awesome.
get those, and you get a Red 5 who suddenly gets destroyed.
So that's why
call
that
signs
call
available.
sign is there. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we've got a 5 open.
Right.
Here you go, Luke. Yeah, just like getting to see them, like totally not expecting so much, like all these other like characters that were part of A New Hope were like part of the Battle of Scarif,
Right.
And were part of all this before going to being
Yeah.
a part of the Death Star whole thing.
Ponda Baba and
Dr.
Evazan. Evazan.
They were on Jeddah.
Dr. Evazan.
Jesus. They were on Jeddah for
whatever
reason.
That was one of the plans he has a death sentence on, I guess.
guess.
I don't know. I was reading some article that had Easter eggs in it, and
There was a lot of Rebels Easter eggs.
yeah,
like
and
a lot of them.
I missed all of them.
I saw a screenshot. Someone took don't take pictures while you're watching the movie in a theater because you're an asshole. But someone took a picture and it was thank you. A shot of Chopper rolling by on Yavin.
Yeah, I missed that.
Like when everyone's like running to their ships, I think. Like, or no, when that guy runs out to talk to Mon Mothma and he's like, "Hey, slow down," whatever.
Oh, it's in the
Like the
background.
guy, Chopper's like rolling back out in the corner.
Oh, really?
Like Chopper's just rolling by. And there's another time where they call the captain from Rebels.
Oh, Hera.
Whatever her last name
Syndulla.
is.
Syndulla.
Yeah, there's like an intercom announcement like telling Captain Syndulla to be somewhere.
Nice.
And then apparently the ghost was also, the ship was like in a scene.
So they survive Rebels then.
Hera does.
Because we were talking about
Hera's
that.
the only one that we know of, and Chopper.
We were wondering if they were going to kill off like the whole Rebels cast.
Everyone. So Hera and Chop make it. We at least know that.
Interesting.
I don't expect anyone with Jedi powers to
Everyone.
make it out, because that wouldn't make sense. I don't know. Ezra or Kanan.
And Freddie, whatever his name is. Freddie
Kanan.
Prinze.
That's Kanan.
Freddie Connick Jr.
Freddie Connick, yes. Or Maul. Maul has to die at some point, right?
Yeah, he's been around for too long at this point. Yeah.
So I mean, that was really cool. There's just like all these little things that were put in the film that were,
Right.
stuff from the new,
Yeah.
stuff from new canon, stuff from old canon, stuff, all over the place. And like just those little things that you really didn't expect to be a part of this movie that was set apart from the rest of the films.
Right.
But it was also inclusive, but in a way that didn't make it too fan servicey, at least not to me.
Yeah. 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 It was good.
So now when you watch Star Wars,
What?
after having seen Rogue One, if you want to sit down and watch all of the films,
Yeah.
I personally think this one needs to go in between the prequels and the.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
because
you have to include it in the story now, right?
Because like you're saying, it smashes directly
And
up
it goes against everything we said at the beginning about how different this was and like set apart from being a trilogy film. Or
It is a
saga
different
film.
movie, sure, and exactly, it's set apart. It's a different feel. The tone is different, everything, but the story goes directly into A New Hope, and there are so many.
Like the moment, like New Hope is like 2 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not 2 minutes, depending on how
Space
long
minutes.
the
Two space minutes.
Well, whatever.
Sometime
Sometime later.
moments later.
Less than a week.
Moments later on the Tantive 4. Vader.
Less than a
Which
week.
that makes a whole nother thing from A New Hope. Like, Vader talks to Tarkin about placing the tracking device on the ship too, right?
On what? On the Falcon.
What was it about the Falcon or was it about the Tantive?
Yeah,
Wasn't
why
there
would he have a
something about
tracking
them
device
tracking-
on the?
I'm trying to remember.
No, he
about
puts a
them
tracking
tracking
device
it.
on the Falcon. He lets the Falcon go, and puts a tracking device so he can track him back to Yavin.
So
Because they don't know the location of the
how
rebel
did
base.
I'm just trying to think, like doing that, like how did they lose the Tantive 4?
What do you mean? Lose?
I don't know.
What do you mean lose it?
How did they get away? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming they caught up fairly quickly since
How did
they
who
still
get
had the
away?
plans. Like Vader doing it by himself. Like, how did the Tantive 4 actually like escape him? Too is questionable to me.
Well, they let him go.
Like, there couldn't have been a reason. Did you
There's
see where they were going? I don't know.
well, there was that conversation between Vader and the officer in the beginning about how the Senate is going to have a big problem with this.
The
and-
Senate. Like,
Well,
there's
yeah.
a Senate.
They don't know at that point that
Yes.
that it's
Yeah.
been disbanded, but yeah, like the Senate's gonna have a big problem with this because Leia's an ambassador, and
Yeah.
I
Like
think
anyone
they
could.
just let him go. No, duh. They said, man, why am I forgetting
Yeah,
Core and New
I
Hope?
thought about it a while ago, and I meant to look it up just because I cannot recall there was a conversation about them catching that ship.
Don't they say something about sending a distress signal, like destroy the ship and just send a distress signal or something like that?
Maybe. It's
This is like Core and New
yeah,
Hope.
that's sad. That's
Everyone
that's our-
right now is
that's the
yelling at
show.
us. Yeah, we're done basically. Yeah, we'll
it's-
come back knowing the
so-
exact.
So when you watch the films
Details.
now, this has to be included in the list of the films.
Yeah.
Like, and so I guess if you watch it in the machete order, you start with Rogue One now, right?
Yeah, I'd say Rogue One, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and then 6.
And 7.
Oh yeah, right. There's another one.
So we've got 8 films to watch when you want to watch the Star
And
Wars
7.
saga.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that's good. I mean, yeah, I did not.
There's
I
6 to
expected
watch
it
for the Lord of the Rings stuff, and
Well, yeah.
3 of them were
We
terrible.
don't talk about the Hobbit films. I knew that it was going to be like right up against A New Hope. I did not expect it to be that butted up against like, hey, here's Leia, she has the plans. Guess what? Vader's going to be here in 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah, we were saying at some point that they might
I really
they might
hoped-
make it, or they might show her like on Alderaan.
I
at some
really
point.
hoped we were going to see Alderaan, like finally like see it, like see Bail or
Yeah.
her on Alderaan. Because I had an inkling we would see her in the film, and I thought we would because I knew we were going to have a CG Tarkin.
Yeah, and
But I was hoping there would be some sort of like something with Alderaan and Bale,
yeah.
like with her getting the plans on Alderaan and taking off from there. I didn't realize it was like she was part of the battle and like took off.
Yeah.
I did not expect that. So
It does make sense, like with Vader being so hot on their heels,
yeah, I mean,
you know.
I assume so. I just obviously we didn't know how the plans
Like you're
were.
saying, with the plans being, you know, a couple feet from Vader, and then they get away from him, you know.
How pissed off. Oh, and him standing on that edge of that, like, that loading bay where the ship took off from inside the other ship, and like Vader standing on the edge of the bay looking out into space as the ship is taking off.
I forgot
'cause
about that.
Just missed them like by a hair.
I forgot about that. Yeah, how angry he must be,
I
you know.
expected something to like shatter, the ship to start crumpling, like
That would have been cool.
for him to. There's just so much.
Yeah.
Just Vader.
I want to talk about. We're out of time now.
We're out of
but
time.
I want to talk about the specifics of kyber crystals and the operation of the Death Star. Like, I think there's some,
Yes.
like, because like what you brought up about the single reactor.
I need to finish
Firing-
Catalyst before we have that conversation.
Yeah,
Because
there's more info
his
on kyber
research,
crystals
because
there.
because that planet they go to and Cassian's almost going to kill Galen. That's like their kyber refinery.
Yes.
So the point I'm at in the book, he has not figured out how to replicate kybers yet.
Right, and he's
So did he actually figure out how to replicate them, which I need to find out, or did they somehow do they have kybers now? Because they're offloading stuff. They're getting kybers out of the temple on Jeddah,
yes.
so they do have kybers.
Well, that's the thing.
But is Jeddah the only place they're pulling kybers from?
Well, that's the thing. That was a real Jedi temple, so those were
Yes, those
legit
were kybers.
kyber crystals, not synthetic crystals like
Yes.
what the beginning of Catalyst talked about.
So how many locations are they pulling kybers from? You can't just get it from one temple, right?
Oh, I would say any Jedi temple,
Yes,
any
but I
Jedi
mean-
temple that has kyber crystals, they're probably raiding.
Yeah, I wonder.
Because that's what they were saying right before they destroyed Jeddah. Like they basically mined it until it was empty, and wasn't Saw or somebody related to him talking about how like this place could go at any minute because
There's like
they're just
emptying-
using it for the kyber
emptying,
crystals,
yeah.
and then they're going to get rid of it, you know?
Yeah, which they did.
Right, which is what happens.
Oh, which that was so cool too.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's if you listen to this and you still haven't seen Rogue One, you're stupid. Watch it before listening to this, but
There was
see it again. 'cause
well,
it
yeah,
was
why would
awesome.
you get all the way through all of that and then
Some people. I need to see it. I want to see it again.
there
I really
wasn't
wanna see it.
at one point where they get in the U-wing. I think they were in the U-wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
it
are
was the-
actually way cooler than I thought they would be.
Yeah, me too.
'Cause I
I
like
thought
the
that
wings
would
that
be
like they
kinda
go
lame.
out straight and then come back. I don't know.
I thought it would be kind of lame, but it's
Yes,
not.
it was
It's
cool.
more of like a carrier, like a troop carrier ship than
Yeah,
anything.
I expected more like just a little slightly bigger, like A wing or like more like a B wing
Yeah.
sized, but it was like a
But
troop
like
carrier,
the giant
which was-
wings for some reason.
Yeah, everything has giant wings now apparently, like Krennic's ship and
Yeah, that
Kylo's
was-
ship.
That was
and-
crazy.
Yeah,
I was gonna say when they're flying off of Jeddah as the main city's being
everything's
destroyed.
going to hell.
I was thinking, why don't you just fly up, just go up,
I did
and
kinda
you'll be
think
fine.
It's the whole.
But
It's the whole
then,
Prometheus.
yeah, right.
It's the whole Prometheus thing
just
with
fly up. Why are you
take
chasing?
a left, the giant rolling,
Right.
wheel
But
coming
then
at
there's
you.
there's like a shot where it shows it's like curling up
It's
over
like a wave.
them.
Yeah. Like they're trying to get out of
So.
the curl of the wave, basically.
Fine, Gareth. Got out of that one.
And I mean, they obviously hit because that's when K2 says he hasn't finished his calculations for hyperdrive, and Cassian punches it anyway.
Yeah, another freaking
Hyperdrive
jump to
from atmosphere?
hyperspace in the gravity shadow of a planet.
Like hyperspace from.
I do not
From
understand how that
atmosphere.
works, and they still have interdictor cruisers, because that's like the whole point of an interdictor. Maybe it's like there's like an override you can do with the computer.
I don't know.
Like maybe the computer that controls the hyperdrive automatically pulls you out of hyperspace when it detects like a gravitational body.
Maybe. I don't know. That's another.
But then
instance of it.
you could manually override it and then like jump. I just that's the one thing that
you know, like because from Force Awakens and now from
and now it's in this
Rogue
too.
One,
So
there's
it's
two
now-
atmospheric hyperdrive incidences.
Yeah, it's
Oh well.
yeah. I'm trying to figure that out.
All right, let's wrap this.
I think that's a
Pile
good.
up.
I think maybe next time I'll tweet Pablo about that.
Ask him.
Yeah, and see what he
Get our
has
own,
to say about it.
create our own what that tweets.
If he decides to grace us with a response.
Yes,
That's a legit question, though, isn't
I
it?
think so. If
Right?
There's like, how does the atmospheric hyperdrive
I mean,
like,
that's a super.
arrivals and departures work?
Yeah, I mean, that's a super nerdy question, but
Yes.
this is something that
Maybe something he would actually like.
I'm losing sleep over this.
That and the Falcons guns, man.
Yeah, that's another thing. I've kind of surrendered that.
I was watching Force Awakens again the other day. I'm like, how is he sitting in that chair?
Like
He's
in
on
normal,
the bottom of the ship looking straight down. He should be flopping out of that chair, and he's not even getting pulled on the restraints.
He should be like laying over
His
the
hands
gun
should be like flopping
controls.
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes every time I don't under. There's just it's like a wormhole in the ship to get to the guns, and there's its own gravity. I don't know.
All right. Where
All
can
right.
people find us on the internet?
www. You don't need those. So go to hokeyReligion.com.
No, just www. That's
Just www.
Just type in
we've
www.
We've gotten them all, guys. We can't get that Twitter account, but we can
all
get
the
the
W's.
websites. HokeyReligion.com. You can shoot us an email at asklobot@hokeyReligion.com is the preferred one because that's fun to type.
Yep.
You can find us on Twitter at Hokey_religion. You can find us on a Facebook page. Just search Hokey Religion.
For some
and you
reason.
can like it. Our episodes posted there and Twitter and our website. So you can find it anywhere we are.
Yeah. I
Um,
don't know why we do that.
I don't know. We're on everything. Gotta get them.
We are you. Thanks
gotta
to
get them
you.
DLs.
We are on everything. We really are on everything.
Pretty much.
Are we on Google
Thank you
Play
to our
yet?
YouTube listeners.
Are we on Google Play yet?
Yes. Yeah, we've been there
okay.
since its start.
Oh, right.
So yes, iTunes, Google Play. You found this somehow, so just keep finding it there. And if the format,
we haven't asked for reviews in a while.
yes,
Go send.
if
Put
the
a,
format you listen to this on allows reviews, do that thing.
especially iTunes.
Yes,
Because we
especially
care more
iTunes,
about that.
Because iTunes reviews kind of actually matter.
They
so
matter
if you
more
like
than
the
Google
podcast
Play.
and you've listened to us for a while, it would be nice if you could leave us a review because it does make us more visible to the rest of iTunes.
Yes.
So that's our honest request of the week.
It's not
Most
like
of the things we say are not honest, but that's one of them.
not honest, or we just can't even remember what we're gonna say. That's usually what it is. All
right, wrap this up.
Okay,
Are we good?
I think that's it.
I'm just gonna. I think I've ended the last 5 episodes that way.
I'm
We good?
one of them, and you're the other one.
This has been Hokey Religion for another episode. This is Tyler.
This is the other one. That's
Yep,
not Tyler.
that
Bye.
one we forgot.
Bye.
Hokey religion is an ancient weapon. Hokey religion is an ancient weapon, so no match for a good blaster at your side.